President Trump pretty expansive on the possibility of that summit June 12th in Singapore with North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, seeming to hope to get it back on track as the North Koreans sent out a shot, if you will, about military exercises with South Korea. This is President Trump met with the vice premier of China today, tweeting out a picture saying that meeting went well. As China plays a significant role, obviously, in all of this, plus the China trade negotiations that are still continuing. With that, let's bring in our panel. Jonathan Swan, national political reporter for Axios. A.B. Stoddard, she is the associate editor at Real Clear Politics and host of No Labels Radio on Sirius XM, and Eli Lake, columnist for Bloomberg View. Okay, Jonathan, what's the inner workings of the White House think about the possibilities of this summit June 12th? I heard Kellyanne Conway saying, it could be delayed.
I think it's always been an uneasiness, and almost everything was going too well for a while. Kim Jong Un was released the hostages and theatrically destroying nuclear facility. But John Bolton has always been, the National Security Advisor has always been very, very skeptical about even the notion of Donald Trump going over there and meeting with them. So he's been through this carousel before, and he does not trust the North Koreans, has never had faith in the idea that you can take them at their word. So I think you have a very, very tough hardliner there with John Bolton, who is talking to the president every day and informing him about the history and the promises that they've made before. That being said, I'm told the president still wants to do this. He wants the meeting face to face, and they're carrying on as if nothing has changed.
Speaking of Bolton, he was obviously mentioned by the North Koreans in the statement specifically. He also told Chris Wallace something that raised some eyebrows and got some response. Take a listen.
And we have very much in mind the Libya model from 2003, 2004. There are obviously differences. The Libyan program was much smaller, but that was basically the agreement that we made. And so we'll want to test North Korea in this first meeting for evidence that they have made that strategic decision.
The Libyan model isn't a model that we have at all when we're thinking of North Korea. In Libya, we decimated that country.
So, A.B., the Libyan model he's talking about, Bolton's talking about, is how they got rid of their weapons and their ability to start down that program, not the actual end of Muammar Gaddafi and how it all came to an end.
But that's what the North Koreans see, and that's what they're concerned with, and that's what President Trump was referring to today, once again speaking from a different songbook from someone at the highest levels of his government. It's happened before, and he actually offered the North Korean leader some protections today if he agrees to denuclearize. So, look, I do think that the administration, and particularly the president, is handling this in a very shrewd way. Whatever it is, whether it's saber rattling or whatever Kim Jong Un is doing by canceling the talks with the South Koreans, threatening the U.S. And inserting all this tension, I think they've responded well. The president said, "I'm trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt." They're obviously still trying to avert war. They're still trying to create a discussion. I bet everything Jonathan is saying is true about Bolton's influence and sort of tempering the president's expectations, but I think they're handling it the way it needs to be handled. Kim Jong Un cannot be trusted. He took those hostages to release them, and so far he has been way too acquiescent in his language for a long-standing goal of that regime to be believable. So, as the president says, we'll see. But I think that they just need to try to keep the prospect of this alive while being cautious.
Yeah, Eli.
Well, I would just say that I've been concerned about the North Korea outreach for some time, but in the context of the China part of this, where it seems that Trump is reversing himself on the ZTE sanctions, and this is after a long and rigorous and legal process. I just think that all of this is sending the wrong signal at this point. The United States sets certain norms, particularly when it comes to issues of nuclear proliferation and things like that. The Libya model is basically getting rid of your nuclear program. Isn't that what we're talking about? When the North Koreans talk about denuclearization, what they mean is breaking the U.S.-South Korea alliance. So if we don't have clarification at this point on it, then I don't really have a lot of optimism for these talks, as much as I think it's admirable that the president is at least trying. And I would hope that he can use the fact that someone like John Bolton is his national security advisor as a bit of leverage and perhaps to intimidate a tyrant like Kim Jong Un. But this should be very troubling. Of course, the Libya model is what we're seeking. We want to get rid of their nuclear program. What else are they supposed to be talking about?
Yeah. You know, in the campaign we did candidate casino. I don't have a fancy graphic, but let's do Summit Casino. You've got $100 in chips here, and 100 is it's moving forward definitely June 12th in Singapore. 0 is it's dead in the water. So where are your chips down the road, Jonathan?
Probably 60.
I'm 175. I think the date could change, but I think it's going to happen because Kim Jong Un wants it to happen.
50.
Eli.
I don't know.
Come on,
Well,
man.
really,
You can't
strong.
do that.
I mean,
That's
could
just,
you do 55?
Yeah.
I didn't think we would get this
That's
far, but I'm
pathetic.
worried. If they
That's just
can't
totally
even agree,
pathetic.
like, the point is to talk about denuclearization, then why even have the summit to begin with? It just confers undue legitimacy on this thug.
Have some courage, mate.
All right.
There you go.
2 green chips on either side. I got you, Eli.